Sonia G. It's the MoonBabes Monday Night Live. We are going to talk about some of this false light stuff that's coming up, specifically about the moon and the people talking shit on the moon. And there's a lot of people that are getting confused about this stuff. So we're going to talk about the false light things, specifically about the moon. What the fuck happens on the moon? We're going to clear all this out once and for all. And then I'm going to answer any questions that you guys have. Say hi to Kelsey. She's right here with me too.
Hello, loves. Happy Monday.
Yay. She is working on uploading the MoonBabes Society astrology hour that we just did, which was
so
good. We did so good. So hi, loves. Thanks for joining. Happy to have you guys here. And if you have any questions, let me know. So here's the question that has been coming up a lot. Because I seriously, I feel like we've talked, Kelsey was asking me, she's like, what are you going to talk about tonight? It's like, I feel like we've been talking about so many things that it's like so talked out, right? Like we've said so many things that need to be said. Yet there are still always people out there that are confusing. Okay, the name of the game out there is confusion. Like there's so many people that are just, it's not the name of the game. It's just what's happening. It's just, there's a lot of people that are very confusing. And when people are confused and they continue to, you know, it's like the grapevine. They continue to talk about things like they read something or they hear something or they have an experience that's, you know, somehow not in alignment. And then because of the fear, because of the experience, because of the thing, then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. But they never, and so then they talk about it and they share it and like it just gets transmitted that way, right? It's kind of like a virus. But it's never founded into anything that anybody knows for sure, right? So when you look at these things, like a lot of people talk a lot of shit because this happens, but they don't know the things for sure. If you notice, when we talk, right, and we have conversations and we go into topics, I talk to you guys about things that I know for sure. There are things that I have experienced for myself, like on my skin and my physical body, right? Like in my astral body, like I know, I have a knowingness of different things, which is different than somebody that says, hey, I read this or I heard this and I'm perpetuating this thing because it seems like it's the trendy thing to do and everybody is saying it. So when we talk about things, there's a different level of understanding here that when something is just kind of passed around. Also, I want to say this. If I ever share one, like, let's just say one post from an account, that does not mean that that account has like my endorsement. That means that when that one post, they said something that's very awesome and very in alignment, right? So it doesn't mean that everything else that they have said is actually like accurate, right? So sometimes this happens and I get these questions. So I want to clarify that because those are good things. Okay, so let's talk about the moon. So there's this new thing that was brought to my attention that the moon has been declared. What was it? Something false, like some false thing.
False mother.
Yeah, the
thing.
false, it's just, the moon is bad because the moon is getting people's attention diverted. And the moon is not the mother. And the moon is like the fake mother, or the moon is the false mother. That's what it is. And that the earth is the mother. Okay, the moon was never the fucking mother to begin with. That's like not even a thing. So there's no reason to say that that was false. This is something that draws its roots in the Sophia Code. And I know a lot of people like are familiar with that book. I've never read it. I could never open it. I have not resonated with it. There's a whole lot of energy around it that feels very like Christed consciousness and very airy and very light. Very gold, like the energy of it, right? I just don't resonate with it for some reason. So doesn't make it right or wrong. It makes it something that's not in alignment with where I'm at. But when I see things like this, then I'm like, oh, that's why. Like, there is no reason to say. Like, it's like me pointing at Kelsey and being, she's a false blonde. Like, she's not even a fucking blonde. She's a redhead. And, like, nothing about Kelsey is a blonde. So, like, there needs to be nothing said to make that bad. Like, that doesn't need to be a bad statement. So we don't need to say that the moon is the false mother. Like, because It was never in question. It's Mother Earth. There is no other name. There's no Mother Moon. It's Mother Earth, right? So this is the mother. The moon is a natural satellite of the Earth. The Earth was built. The moon was built, okay? Who was it built by? Who were you built by? Like who, it's all like creator forces, creator gods, call them whatever you want to call them, right? But the thing is, it was created, it was made, okay? And it was actually a satellite, like a floating object per se, not an object because she's alive, right? It got caught in the Earth's gravitational pull. And so the moon stayed. And because of that, because of the magnetism that they significantly like latched onto each other and they hung out, it's like, think of it like, oh, hey, I adopted, a sister. I adopted, like all of a sudden I have a sister-in-law or something like that. This is the energy between the Earth and the moon. It's a sisterhood kind of energy, okay? They're alive inside. It's just like Mother Earth is alive, the moon is alive, okay? The Earth is your mom, the mother energy. The moon is your aunt. The moon is not your mom. So this is the stuff that needs to be like understood energetically. Once you allocate things where they go, then there's a reason, okay? So the moon actually has a lot of historical, and this is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people get confused or it's like these false things that start down the grapevines by like the fake bots on the Twitter accounts that nobody knows who they own them, but like, there's this whole twisted story behind the scenes. And like, then it starts a rumor and the rumor takes fire because people still like to talk shit and they want to know what's on the uppity up. So in the light workers community, sadly, if like in the 3D world, people talk about the Kardashians. In the 5D world, the people that want to be in the 5D world but that are really not there, they talk about all this other stuff, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, this false matrix and these like things and blah 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 blah. And it's the trendy stuff that gives you a heart attack. It's the stuff that gives you a heart attack. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, wait, the Kardashians did what? Wait, what's wrong with the grid? Right, it's that energy. Like, wait, the moon is fake? Do you see what I'm saying? It's that energy. Like, that's not, like, do you see the parallel? It's just the same energy in different clothes. Like, it's the same energy that shows up, in a higher dimension. So it has different words, but it's the same thing where people are worried about something that has like, this is not a thing. So that's how the moon is. The moon, the old farmer's almanac, think about the power and the influence of the moon in everything that works with the earth. The earth and the moon are in cycles, like of time, like of things. Like the moon works with the earth, like it helps with the tides. There's so many things, right? And the crops and illuminating like the night sky. Like there are so many things. The moon is in harmony with the earth and the sun, right? So all of a sudden, if you start seeing people that are like, I'm like, where are people going to go next? Like with the whole, the moon is fake and whatever not and whatnot. It's like, what are they going to say? The sun is fake? There's no fucking equinox. There's no axis to the earth. All of the Stonehenge, all of the megalithic structures, all the pyramids, they were aligned with fucking false stars. They were not stars. They were satellites. They were man-made. They were bullshit. Oh my God. The pyramids in Giza were not in alignment with the stars in Orion. Like people can start talking all of this shit, but will you allow it to affect you? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, are people going to say there's no fucking equinox? Or are they going to say there's no solstice? Or the solstice is of no significance? Because like these are the things that, the cycles, like in the revolutions of the planet and the earth. Like this is a big deal, right? So this is one conversation. The other thing is, What happens on the moon? Are there colonies of Dracos? Are there like bad guys on the moon? Fuck yeah, right? Like there is. Like the moon got stuck in orbit. So the moon, we always see the same side of the moon. We don't see the back side of the moon, which is why it's called the dark side of the moon, right? Remember Pink Floyd's album. So on the dark side of the moon, we don't have eyes. Like there's no satellite, right? Like, I mean, we just, from the front, like plenty of people go around the back, right? But if you look, and this is how you see it, just stare at the moon when it's full for an hour, okay? If that scares you, go 20 minutes or something. Just sit there, put your fucking phone down, and then stare at the moon. Be with the moon, okay? You will start to see the moon will talk to you, okay? And you'll start to see objects move in front of it. You'll start to see the aura of the moon. People don't actually take the time to be with things. It's almost like, you know, if somebody was like, it just makes me laugh. But if somebody was to say, you know, all of a sudden the sky is green, and then they started this revolution that the sky is green and that it's not blue and that color is actually green and you've been lied to this whole time and it's not blue, you know, whatever. Like there's just, people can come up with all sorts of things. But do you know, right? Like, do you know? Do you have a relationship? Do you have a relationship with the planets? Do you have a relationship with the moon? Do you have a relationship with the earth? So there are beings that live on the moon. There's human colonies on the moon. There's all sorts of like all sorts of star beings that live on the moon. And yes, it is heavily populated by the Dracos. What are the Dracos? They're the reptilian species. They're the ones that like actually are in charge of everything shitty that's happening on planet Earth, right? So this is like where one of their bases is. Earth is another one of their bases, meaning like those are the people that like to control the people that are in charge of Earth, right? So, you know, the group that like pulls the strings of planet Earth. So yes, there's fucking bad guys. Like they live on Earth. You know what I mean? Like there's Draco colonies on Earth, you guys. Like it's not like people like get so freaked out. Yeah, there's people that live in inner Earth. There's all sorts of stuff. Now, why do you not see it? Why do people say, oh, we sent the rover on Mars, on the, you know, whatever the hell, we sent satellites on the moon and we didn't see anything. We didn't capture anything. So in order to access a planet in where it's inhabited, you have to go through stargates, okay? There are stargate portals. So you have to basically get the right freeway or tollway there. You have to go to the country, but there are portals and they're not like, you don't necessarily even have to like enter through a stargate, but there are grid portals. So there are portals that are open in the grids. A planet exists within itself, okay, in its own different layers of consciousness. Then, in addition to the planet, there's different grids. You guys know this because we constantly talk about the grids on Earth, right? So there's a 3D shit show grid, right? The one that some people like to try and keep alive. Then there's a 5D grid. There's a 7D grid. Like there's all these grids. The grids are always in odd numbers. Why? Because the positive dimensions are mental. They're not physical. These are all things that we get into the mastermind very deeply. So if this stuff is the kind of stuff that you're into, okay? So in order to see what's happening on a planet, you have to go through a portal. If you don't go through a portal, it looks to you like the place is deserted. Okay, because you're not entering through the right door. Once you enter through a door, you can experience that planet in the third dimension, that planet in the fifth dimension, that planet in a different dimension. Okay, so when we go on the moon, when astronauts that don't really know what they're doing go to like these other planets, so just not that they don't know what they're doing, but you understand what I'm saying when it comes to like the different dimensional systems or like actual, you know, portals that have to do with the grids. They just see a planet and it looks like a rock, right? But they do that for the public. Then the people that actually know this shit and know how to do it, you know, there are maps like that are out there that are starting to circulate now that show where you can like literally jump and access different places. And, you know, you can enter, like you have to enter through a particular portal to experience Venus, where it's, you know, the culture is thriving, the people are alive. I'm thinking of this movie. I keep seeing these images, that's why I'm like talking like this. It was a movie that I watched recently, and it's called The Valerian. The Valerian and the city of 1,000 planets.
So good.
So good. So, the Valerian and the city of 1,000 planets. Of course, it got shitty reviews because good movies sometimes get shitty reviews. That movie will show you that layers of worlds exist. So literally you can see it, right? And they knew what they were doing, and they were agents. And of course, the whole movie is very fantastical and magical and everything. But they were agent, and they had to use particular technology to access these portals in and out. And so you can see how literally in that movie, you can see how one grid and another grid, like you can literally walk through them, but you don't see it unless you're looking for it, right? In this case, like they had to have these goggles to see through these dimensions. But that's what happens. And so that's why when people say, oh, you know, it's uninhabited or whatever, you're just looking in the wrong dimensions, because we don't know how to do that quite yet in those terms. But when we go etherically, when we go travel in our astral bodies, that's why we enter through where we need to enter through, right? So it's a different thing. So if someone from, I don't know, Saturn came here to Earth and didn't know entirely how to access it, or just wanted to go and access, like, you know, the dinosaurs era of Earth, they would just have to go through a different portal, because remember that time is overlaid. There's layers of time, timelines. Like, time is like a structure. It's not like this thing that we've been taught to learn or to know that it is. So time and gravity like hold us in this experience, right, of life. Without time, without linear time, then everything is happening right now. Well, if everything is happening right now, that means that Earth today exists, Earth yesterday exists, Earth in 2,000 years exists, Earth 4 million years ago exists, which means that it's all accessible. And it's all accessible by grid work and by layer and by portal. Okay, so once you know what you're doing, you can go through and enter all of these things. These are things that for a lot of people, it's like, what the fuck? Like, my neural pathways cannot due to poor connection. It's amazing. Okay, so you guys understanding this? So these are real conversations. Don't get confused. Always know, like, you will always know the truth in your heart. Okay, hang on. The light here so I can see. Okay. Hey, here we are. If it ever pauses for like slow connection, it'll reboot. It'll come back on. Please explain the crystal caves within the moon. So this was from our call tonight for MoonBabes Society. Okay, so one time I really wanted to figure out the moon. I wanted to astral travel, and I'll tell you the story. I wanted to astral travel, and I had gone to different places, and I really wanted to, I wanted to connect. I wanted to learn more, right? I was like, it was one of those moments where I was ready to push myself. Like, when I take you guys on these astral travels and astral projection trips, it's because I've done that, and I know how to do that, right? Like, I've gone through the energy of it. So I started literally, it happened in San Diego. I was in San Diego, and I was on the balcony of this place where I was staying, and I was just staring at the moon because I always do that. And all of a sudden I had this desire, like I was connecting with the moon. I could see the aura. I was getting messages. Like, I've always had like a big connection with the moon. So I was like, okay, can I come on? Like, I was like, moon, can we talk, right? So we started having this conversation. You can do this with the stars. You can do this with any planet. And so I started the connection. Start the connection from your heart. If you want to talk to any planet or any celestial being, okay, any celestial thing, you always want to be in your heart. If you're not in your heart, you're not going to get the right information. You're going to get fucked. I always say this. You always want to get grounded, connected with heaven and earth, get in your heart, then start. Because if you have fear, and if you're scared, and if you're half-assing it, you leave room for static. And static is like the white noise, and in the white noise and the static, that's where the lies are, and that's where you get interjected, okay? So you need to be very fucking clear and very like in your heart. So if you're not going to do it that way, don't do it, right? But just take the time to fucking do it, because it's worth it, because then you get the answers. It's totally worth it. So I was there, and I started having full conversations with the moon, and I was just outside, like staring at the moon on the ocean. And so I asked, and I started talking to the moon, And then I went there and I was like, why do we see this? Like, what's actually happening? And so that's when I had the conversation, and in the moon, so much happens inside, and I had no idea, right? And so it's like, it's actually caves, like they're caves under the moon, and they're crystals. There's this like amazing crystals that like grow on the moon that are like, it's kind of like a white opalescent color, but like, it's so like energizing and so amazing and so rejuvenating and so clearing, and like, it's like the magical shit that I think sometimes I feel like people will say this stuff and they'll put it out there that the moon is fake and it's bad and to not like work with the moon, so that you actually don't discover these truths, right? Because that's like, I mean, the moon is practically within reach for a lot of people now. A lot of like private, people that have a fuck ton of money, they can, they can jump on, it's possible to land on the moon. If you have enough money, you can go on a private trip to the moon, right? And if you start to understand these things, and if you start to understand what is possible and what you can access up there, then I just think that the people that know these things don't want, the general public to know. And that's really what's going on. So, but yeah, so if you go, and there's different places where you can access it, and it kind of feels like, maybe what it feels like to access like the inner earth realms, like, you actually have access to different places, but you have to know, where you're going, obviously. But yeah, it's like amazing. And I remember after I had that experience, I was like, oh my God, like, this is why the feeling that we get from the moon, it's like, it's made inside of it, there's crystals that are so powerful that's why we work so much with the moon. Think about the work that we do like with the moon. It's emotional, it's feminine energy, it's clearing, it's cleansing, right? And it's the subconscious stuff. Also, if you connect with the moon, before I ever knew any of this, I would always just like stare at the moon and talk to the moon, just like I would talk to the stars. If you're a starseed, this is just normal. You like, your sanity is outside looking at the stars, right? Like, it just feels like home. Like, it just makes sense. So, and I always noticed, and so try this out, okay? When you go and see auras for people, like if you practice like seeing auras like with a person, like you have to like look at them like kind of like here, but off. You have to like allow your eyes to like fuzzy out so that you can see, the layer of fuzz all around them. And then beyond the fuzz, you see the color, right? So you have to kind of take this step back with your eyes and like kind of go fuzzy with your eyes and then look around, okay? So this is kind of if you've figured this out, this makes sense. So do that when you look at the moon. And the moon, once you start talking to the moon would always send me a ray, like a beam, like a ray, like a light, okay? And it would always come to my throat, no matter what I was doing, no matter what position I was in, no matter what phase the moon was in. Whenever I would talk to the moon would always come to my throat. I always thought that was very curious. But this happened like forever ago, before, again, I knew anything. And so as I started understanding this stuff, and then I put, the dots together through the years. So think about the throat chakra. This is your dream chakra. This is your subconscious. Well, the moon connects to your subconscious because it's like, that inner work, like the stuff that we let go. It's like all of the subconscious work that we do with the moon. So ask yourself this question, knowing and understanding all of these things about the moon, who would benefit and who would profit from the people not having access to the moon? Who would benefit and who would profit from the people not having access to the sun, right? When you think of it that way, then you know who's spreading the shit. And that's kind of how it works, okay? So I hope this makes sense. So that's how I found out. And that's how I started really talking to the moon and like going there and exploring and figuring these things out. But on the moon, you have to travel with guards. Like if you go astral project to the moon, like you really have to know what you're doing, because there's a lot, like it's like colonies, and there's like I don't know, there is a mix of energy. So you have to know where you're going, and you have to be guarded, because you don't want to just like astral project without understanding like, oh, this is good energy, this is bad energy. Because if you just randomly astral project but you don't know where you're going, right, you don't want to end up in someone's, colony that's maybe not the good guys or the allies. Do you see what I'm saying? So, because they'll feel you and they'll come right back. Like, that stuff is no joke. Like, you guys, remote viewing and remote access and astral projection and astral travel is a thing that like governments like have done. They like spy on each other that way, like in the wars. So like, this is the thing. Like, you can't fuck around with those things, because then they'll track you and they'll come back. So just know how to do your things, right? So I have astral travels that we've done to the caves of the moon, which is amazing. And I was told that was safe, right? So you have to know like where to go that is safe. And it's amazing. So what happens when we have an experience, it's just the same way that time goes, right? That experience exists in time, because that's a quantum. It's like quantum living. It's not like this 3D living, right? As soon as we go up, we're in quantum. But even here, just like yesterday still exists, right? Astral connection, an astral projection that we did, 3 years ago, let's just say, still exists in that moment of time, because that moment of time is still alive. And when you can access it outside of present, past, and future, then you can just go to that moment, and it is that right now. Just like right now is our moment of right now, right? So it's alive, and so you can still catch that ride. And that's why all of the stuff that we do in the courses with the astral projections and the things, then the experiences that we have are all fucking alive, and we can go back to them all the time and have that experience again. It's like going back to like this guided tour that exists suspended, in this tunnel of time. So that is how that works. Cool. Okay. Love the moon, feels very homey. Is there beings that incarnate and come from the moon? Good question. I don't think that the moon has its own species. I think that the moon became inhabited. So, but that's a question to go up there and ask. So, became like colonized. And so maybe that's how people like feel, into these kinds of things, and they can feel, maybe that's how it happened. Fuck, I shouldn't even judge, but all with these words of shit. Like, maybe somebody decided to astral project on the moon and ended up in like a Draco base, and they're like, oh my God, the moon is bad, right? And this whole thing started. And that's not what it is. So, okay. My shaman guide has said to communicate with the full moon stage, which makes sense. I was born during the full moon. Yeah, so you can talk to the moon anytime, like anytime you feel like it. It's just a matter whenever it calls you. I remember one time when I started figuring these things out, and I was talking to the stars and talking to the moon, talking to the planets, and I was getting communication back and forth. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So I was back in Italy, because my parents live in Italy. And I was like, Mom, let's go down to the park, because in Italy, everything is like a high-rise building, right? So I was like, let's go down to the park and go stare at the moon. My mom's like, what? By this point, I'm like, I don't know, probably 35 years old, right? So I'm like, Mom, let's go stare at the moon. My mom's like, okay. So literally, we go out and we sit on a bench. And I was like, Mom, just look at it. Just, take some time. Like, it's going to be fine. Just relax and look at the moon. And I will never forget it. It was probably like 15 minutes in, and we're just having this like silent time, like staring at the moon and the stars. It was just beautiful. And all of a sudden, my mom grabbed my arm and she was like, she winked at me. It was the cutest thing in the world. I was like, the moon winked at. She'll never forget it, right? So I was like, well, stay with it. I was like, talk to the moon and see what she says. And it was really funny to me that's, we receive. It's however it is safe for us to receive a message that it will happen, right? So for me, it's safe for me now, right, to be greeted by all the different star beings and to be shown like, hey, there's a base here. This is happening. Like, it feels normal right now. But a few years ago, it wasn't normal. It would have freaked me the fuck out. So a few, whatever, 5-10 years ago, if, energy, like seeing energy would have been good. I would have understood that. Seeing the energy of the moon, seeing the rays of the moon, that was communication, right? It felt comfortable and it felt normal. So I would have understood that. And so that's how it happens. And so for my mom, you know, that was it. And then, so then in that moment, after she had that experience, she was like, oh my gosh, I can actually talk to the moon. I think she's really alive. Like, oh my God. And like, sweet mother, she's like, the Bible is right. You know, the luminaries are intelligent and like all of these things. Cause you know, bless her heart, she's a religious person. So, but you see what I'm saying? It always works to how it's meant to work for you and the best way that it can work for you. So, okay. Amazing. Young Fox, I have seen lightning strikes coming off of other lightning strikes making lines from the moon. Yeah, if you start staring at the moon, you'll see things. You can see like ships landing. You can see things crossing in front of it. You can see all sorts of stuff. You start to know a lot of things. This is, you guys, this is what the ancient people used to do. They would stare at the night sky because they didn't fucking have Netflix. They didn't have television. They didn't even have radio, right? So what did they do at nighttime? They would just look at the earth, right? They would look at the wonders of the earth. That's how they figured it out. That's how they figured out astrology. That's how they figured out astronomy. They would just look, right? That's how we have all of the science now. It started by people just taking the time to look and be with all of the planets and all of the cosmos. And that's, you know, and then it was like, oh, I'm tracking the star and it keeps going and like this. And then it's like here and some of the stars are fixed and this star is moved, right? And so they started figuring it out, but that's how it happened. There was no software. We created the software by staring at the things, right? And I say staring because I picked that up from my ex stepdaughter, which is a really interesting way of saying it. But she was like my sweet soul that I raised for 8 years on planet Earth. And she had this thing, you know how kids have things that you just pick up, you know? And she would just say, don't you just want to stare at it for a while? And I thought it was the cutest thing. And I'm like, yes, that's how I feel. Kids are not afraid to stare, you know, at things when they really want to take it in. And we forget as adults because we're told that staring is impolite, right? And so, but like stare at the moon and the stars and the planets and the celestial bodies, and then things, you know, it'll talk to you. Just like sun gazing, staring at the sun at sunset and at sunrise it's so good and it gives you so much information. So these are just the things that, you know, certain people don't want you to know, just like they don't want you to know there's natural remedies for, you know, certain things. You know, our world, I think it's pretty obvious how our world is. So yes. Just looking at that stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah, you guys are talking about the movie. That is a good movie. So amazing. Okay, what do we do if we disconnected from the moon and now we want to connect back? Menstrual cycle and all. So yeah, here's the other thing. How can a woman even ever say, let me just put it this way, and then I'll answer this because this is a really good question. But like literally, we're so connected to the moon. How can you sit there and say like all of these things? If you notice, us women, we are in sync with the moon. So our cycles come when they come with the new moon. It's called a white cycle. That's when you're actually more, that's like a fertile cycle. That's like when it's good. If you want to have babies, like that's a cycle you want to be on. Then if our cycle comes with the full moon, it's called a red cycle. Okay. And that's when you're like doing your own stuff and you're like cleansing and, you know, doing the things with the moon. So naturally, women are synced up with the moon, which is the reason why it's also called a moon cycle. Okay. Like the moon is one of the most natural things ever. So if you want to connect with it, right, you start to like connecting in terms of like meditating, like when you're connected to heaven and earth, right, the meditation that we always do, like you'll end up recalibrating in general to where you are. And then connecting to the moon is literally just an intention and an effort. And if you have access, I can't remember, Patricia, which what you have access to, but like if you have access to any of the courses, like in the Sacred Chakras Journey and in the Metaphysical Mastermind, we have astral projection experiences that take you to the moon. So it's a good way of doing it. But also just the same way that you connect with the earth, right? You go outside and you spend time with it. So Put your crystals out, right, in the moon, like intend for your cycle to sync up. We're so in charge of these things. They're not outside of us being in charge. We really are in charge. So, yes. Yes, I will be saving this life. Yep, it will be here on my IGTV. And thanks, Bree. I love that you guys answer each other. So, awesome. Okay. So I hope that this helps to bring clarity. But yeah, anytime you want to like connect, and this is true for any other planet, you guys, like if you want to connect with any other planet, any other star, you do it by getting very grounded, very focused, get in your heart and get those intention and that focus sharp, right? So use those skills. And then it's like, you'll start to like emit the frequency, because it has to happen. If you want it, if you desire it, if it's in your heart and your heart is beaming it out, right, and you're broadcasting it out, then the match comes, because that's the law of attraction, which is a law in the universe. It's also like the law of vibration. If you vibrate with it, the same vibration will come and match it. Okay, so amazing. Yeah, I can't remember if we went to the moon. Bree, is there a moon astral travel in the mastermind? Look on your bonuses. I can't remember if you don't think so. Yeah, okay, maybe not. Maybe not. But we will be releasing, we have a collection of like our favorite astral travels throughout the years that will be coming out. So I know that it's in there.
Definitely
So that will be coming out. Yeah, so you'll see it. So for those of you that are starting to explore like as many different planets, it's fun. Okay, I hope this helps to make sense out of these things. Remember, the most important thing is for you to have the power to discern these things for yourself, right? So instead of like, oh, I wonder if this is true, and then reading, right? Like you can go and find out for yourself. That's why I say, in those things that I share about the Metaphysical Mastermind, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowing how to connect to, the celestial energies, knowing how to ground with the earth, knowing how to get the answers for yourself. That is power, because then you don't have to wonder if this person is right, and then if this is right, oh my God, right? There's people that literally feel like the moon is like finagling out their, or what is it, siphoning out, not finagling, siphoning out like their energy or whatever. Your energy is being siphoned out. Our energy feeds entities all the time, okay? Just like we feed on food, there are entities that feed on energy, which I know doesn't feel really good, right? But it's like, it's kind of like we have a choice in what to eat, right? So we have a choice in what to send out and what to align with. So if your energy emits fear, you're going to get the shit show beings that are going to come and feed on your energy. If you emit love, right, then the energy that you emit, the frequency that you emit, is going to go support like positive stuff that's happening on the planet. And then once you actually are sovereign and you embody, right, your light, like the more of your light, we don't embody it all together yet. Otherwise, we'd be ascended inside the body already, right, and masters of light, and we could like go in and out of consciousness like that, like in and out of the body like that. We'll get there. But I shouldn't say we're not masters of light, because we are. We're just incarnating in this body where we're like reunifying, right, with all of the things that we that need to be reconnected inside of the physical body. So I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? I forget. Oh, the beings that feed off. Once you become sovereign, right, then you actually feed your own self. You learn how to work with your own self, and you learn how to work directly with you, your higher self, and your different selves through time and space and planes of existences. So this is mastermind stuff. Yes. So, okay, question. Oh, hey, do positive entities feed off of our energy too? So it's not a feeding. That's a good question, Marina. It was always my understanding it was negative only. Our energy goes somewhere, right? So whether your energy is positive or whether it's negative, it's going to go somewhere. So if your energy is negative, meaning like, it's lower vibrational fear and I don't know, envy and the lower vibes and anger and all of that stuff. What are like negative emotion stuff, jealousy, like that stuff, that will vibrate to where it'll end up feeling, or like, let's not get into this, but like different things, they will go and feed a particular like category of entities. If you're like emitting positive harmonious frequencies, then you're like working with the angelic angels, which don't feed off of it. It's not like a suction thing, but it's like a support system, right? So it's a different energy. It's kind of like when you're willingly, sending love and light to someone because they need your help. So it's kind of like that. So it's a different thing. Okay, I've been dreaming, so I hope that helps. I've been dreaming for months of moonlight, water, and being in class. Any idea why? Yeah, you probably have some work to do. So water and moonlight. So moonlight water is a thing. You can put your water to be cleared out, right, in the moonlight, and it will actually charge it. And it's very clearing and very cleansing. Do you guys know that back in the days of like the Middle Ages, the witches or the women would be arrested for bathing in the moonlight because they didn't have showers at home, so they would go and bathe in the moonlight so that they could actually see, right? Like, so that they would bathe under a full moon. They would be arrested. Do you know why? Because water and moonlight are two of the most like cleansing, opening, and rejuvenating things. So they made them illegal. Like back in the days, moonlight was illegal because it was like so just, important. And like water was also, bathing was also illegal because if you were cleansed and if you were cleared and if the water reminded you of who you were, clearly you would know too many things. So you had to be dirty. It's like, this is like seriously. Okay. I don't know if you can watch Valerian on YouTube. You'll have to Google that. Yeah, I don't even know what kind of thing I've been watching.
I think it's on Hulu.
Hulu, maybe. I think I watched on something else, but maybe YouTube TV. I don't know. Okay, cool. That makes sense. I didn't know about the energetic supports. Yes. So, but really what you want to do is send your energy like consciously, like loop it through yourself. So when you're conscious of it, you want to send it through your chakra pillar and use it through yourself, right? Through like all of your layers of your higher existence. And that's where it's good to be at, right? But if you still don't know, if you don't know to do that, but you're emitting positive energy and positive frequency, positive, stuff, then it will go in support of the, like positive energy cannot be transmuted into negative energy. Does that make sense? Like they don't have a way of taking it out of you and like making, like changing it into something else. So instead, that's the reason why we have fear campaigns on the planet. Because there's a thing that happens with it's like the hormones, and we get into like a whole other thing, but there's like, people that get harvested in the moment of that they feel the fear, because the feeling of fear changes the composition of the blood. It's like an adrenal response, and it emits a particular frequency. That's like a drug. Okay. It's like a drug for people, and it's like a drug for entities. And so this is like, one of the things that happens on the planet. So, which I think a lot of people have researched, and it's like really just, those are things that happen on planet Earth. So when people are like saying there's bad things that happen on the moon, look on fucking the Earth and look at the people that are harvesting children while they're like, in high fear states and, draining their blood to then drink it. So that they can get that feeling inside of their bodies. Like, these are like the true things that happen on Earth. I think that we have enough of looking at the situations of what happens on Earth. Like, let's clear. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Angeline wrote it. I just didn't want to say it because it's a word that gets me censored. So, okay. All right, loves. We talked about good stuff. I don't know if Kelsey has anything. Do you guys have any questions for Kelsey? Here she is.
Hi. I'll answer stuff. I mean, it's been a good riff so far. Been here listening, tapping in.
Give us the 411 on the astrology of the month.
Ooh. Okay. Get clear about your honest, deep truths and desires. It is going to absolutely, like, your authenticity within yourself is going to carry you through everything that's shifting around you. You want to create your own reality from your heart-centered space and really, like, get clear on that, because I promise all the transits will be that much easier if you're ahead of it. and you're sovereign in your own power, and you know what you stand for. And that way, anything that comes into your field that you're not available for, you have a hard boundary. And nope, that's okay. Nope, that's not for me. Nope, that's not for me. Because we are shifting, and like this first couple weeks is really getting us clear so that when big things start happening and all this Uranian energy aspects come in through the end of the month, we're prepared, we're ready, we've got all the tools, we have this amazing group to, you know, like reflect with and be in the same vibe as we go through this very inward, personal, deep journey. So yeah, we have the tools, you know, apply your things and just really get clear with yourself. Like, don't hold yourself back. It's all about, you know, what needs to come to the surface. And with the Pluto energy that's coming up, like, there won't be any secrets between you and you or anyone else. So just, yeah, hold it. It's going to be good.
Yay. Amazing. Yes. This was like the few words, right?
Yes,
like
the quick version.
The quick version of all the things we talked about in MoonBabes Society. So those of you that are, MoonBabes Society, make sure you go watch that replay. It was really good.
Yes.
So, yes. Questions? Okay. We need to do a live for outside with the moon. Oh, that would be so fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I've been feeling very drained and off balance before Easter. Took lots of time to clear.
Rebalance. I'm feeling that too.
Yeah. There's
time.
A lot. And we're recalibrating the stuff that came in over the equinox too. So remember that. Like, we've been doing a lot of work. So, yeah.
Definitely pulling in lots of light.
Yay! Loves! Remember, the mastermind is still open too for registration. We kept it open. So those of you that are like, have been contemplating it as things shift, which is literally why we kept it open.
Yeah.
Like, as things shift and as things recalibrate, I wonder if there's a way you can see both of us. Like, and you feel like you want like more support through this stuff because you're starting to understand what's coming in and what's happening, and you want that higher level of understanding and support and knowledge, then check it out. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can see like my
revolutionary
sun eyes.
Yeah,
from
that
the
too. We just went out in the sun like earlier. I was basking. I was really needing.
You should start a podcast. I'm working on that.
Yes.
Thanks, love. Yeah, I'm surprised you have it. Yeah, I know, because I like talking to you guys here. Do you know why I haven't started a podcast? The true answer to that is because I don't listen to podcasts. I don't.
That's fair.
I don't listen to podcasts, so that's why I haven't started one. I don't know. Yeah, but it's coming. So that's why it wasn't like right at the top of the thing. So yes. Okay, go to www.moonbabetribe.com for all the things and the Metaphysical Mastermind. We have so many amazing bonuses, and there you can learn all the things on how to like work with your energy and sovereignty and like all the truth of what's going on and how to really like work through the magic for yourself, that next level healing. So
transformational.
Yes, so much love for you both. Oh, yay. Love you all. And we'll see you soon here. And for all the things, we're here at MoonBabes and the Light Tribe on Instagram. Sonia G.
And Kelsey B.
For the MoonBabes Monday Night Live. Yay. Love you all so much. Mwah.